Okay, so this video is going to be a bit interesting. What you're seeing on screen right now is technically Davinci Resolve, but from that you should have noticed that this is actually a recording. It's a recording of what I did for one of my other channels. It's one of my card game channels, my card game gaming channels. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to check out the channel. I decided this might be helpful to some of you guys to actually see what I do step by step, and I can break it down for you guys. So let's get straight into it. First, I actually decided to show you guys what I did. I went to the timeline. I haven't named Marvel Snap in this case. I don't always name the timeline per game that I'm playing, but this is a bit different. I tend to card game channel. Technically, it can have more than one game, and I happen to have chapters for this particular timeline, which we will talk about more in the future as it comes up. So let's continue playing. Now I hit Shift Z in order to pull that whole everything right on the timeline. But you can actually, just slide that zoom in, zoom out, plus or minus if you rather. And then there's the chapter marker you see. I didn't have to create it. I dragged it because it was already there from one of my previous projects. That is the upside of keeping the same timeline as before, because then you don't have to, create new chapter markers. You can if you want, but you don't have to, because on Davinci Resolve you can actually just drag the chapter markers about. But yeah, let's continue there. And I didn't bother renaming it or anything. Again, I hit Shift Z to get everything in the same focus there. What you saw is my mouse went off screen because I'm dragging and dropping. Basically, I'm importing some other footage, but because of how it works, I'm able to just drag and drop it. And let me go ahead and explain. I used a kind of cheap trick, if you will. It's a cheap trick as in a quick tip to make your workflow go a little bit quicker, in my opinion. You've seen some people with, like, if they have multi-cams, they do that whole clap to sync up thing. Well, I find it effective when I'm recording by myself, that if I know it's something that I don't want to keep in the video, I'll intentionally either leave a pause at the beginning or pause during the whole thing. It just makes it easier so I know where to cut it for the future. So in most of the cases, I don't even have to listen for too much because I already know where to actually cut it. So yeah, that is something to note there. It's a little trick I picked up along the way. And as you see, I cut it there. Now, here's where I drag one of my favorited transitions I have there. Now, I believe I go back a little bit so I can show you guys that I do end up making it smaller, just so you can barely see the transition. It would just help clean up the timeline. And again, I was silent during those parts, so I know exactly where to cut and I cut it. Then I drag over my transition again, and then the same deal with this one. I know where to cut it because I was silent. And you know, a little bit of noise and stuff. Once you've been doing it long enough, you kind of pick up when you're just like making a clear your throat sound or saying okay or whatnot. You kind of get used to seeing what it looks like in the audio bar. So that is something worth noting there. Dragged it again. And then finally we made it to the end. Now this is where I actually go for right when I end the game, because as in case you guys don't know, this is actually Marvel Snap. So I make sure to go right there so I know what it is. And then after that, I leave the header there. And then I, of course, hit Shift Z again. That's Z as in zebra, Shift Z. So it shows up the full timeline. Again, you can just drag the plus and minus slider, but I find that shortcut to be a lot easier. The reason I put the header there, I left it there so I know where to drag that final chapter marker to. Now, there is a reason we're using chapter markers, which you will see in a little bit. But let's continue real quick. And then after this, I actually use a shortcut to drag to the end. There is a shortcut in Resolve. I don't know it offhand though, because my keyboard is a full-size keyboard, so it actually has the end button. So I kind of just use that if I'm being perfectly honest. But I believe there is a shortcut in Davinci Resolve. I could be wrong. If I am wrong, someone let me know, comment section below. But I use that shortcut, then I technically use another shortcut to just insert that clip. But if you look right above the timeline, you know, right below the stop play buttons in the viewer, you will see that there are a bunch of icons, and technically speaking, the fifth icon over there is an insert icon, or you can just drag it. You can drag it into the timeline, no problem. I just like the shortcut keys because I'm able to bind them on my Stream Deck, so it saves quite a bit of time for me personally. And then afterwards, we got everything we wanted. We're just double checking, making sure we don't need to silence anything. Then we come over to the render. I have a preset render. These are my preset render settings. If you would like to copy them, that's up to you. Now, I do have a render setting for 2K and 4K as well, respectively, that I use sometimes on my other channels. But yeah, you see me entering the name here, and normally I would cut off here, but I do something after this. I go down to scripts. Now, that is important, okay? This is a script I have installed, which I go over this particular script and how to install it in another video. There should be a card somewhere for that video. I am not the creator of this script though. I found it on the Black Magic forums, the Davinci Resolve forums. So yeah, and the thing is, these work on chapter markers. See the chapter markers that we made? Well, I copied them so I can put them in the description on my YouTube video. So that way I can sort of have my cake and eat it too. Because yes, Davinci Resolve technically can do this, but I believe at this time it can only do it if you actually have it upload your video to YouTube, which I do not like doing, only because I like being able to upload my own video and use some previous settings and change a few things and whatnot. So that's just me, and this script helps me do that. Then after all that, you would add to render queue like I did. Now, if the location wasn't picked for you, you'd have to select the location. But the good thing about Davinci Resolve, I found anyway, if you keep using the same location multiple times in a project, it will usually try to remember that location. I find that from my experience anyway. Then you just hit render and it renders out. If you guys would like to see more of this sort of me explaining to you guys what I'm doing as I'm doing it type thing, definitely let me know. I literally just thought that might be an interesting learning experience for some of you guys, so I just recorded me actually, you know, editing a video. Now this is one of the lighter edits, I would say, but it should serve as a where to start type thing. Hopefully it does help you out. Let me know, comment section below. And with that said, I will catch you guys in the future. Later.